Check out this bulldog right here. He's ready for a road trip. Welcome everyone, Adam the Woo here. A few days ago was the 25th anniversary of the release of an album by a rock band that changed the course of music. No matter what your thought process is on these gentlemen, the fact of the matter is that music and the music industry changed with the release of Nirvana's Nevermind. And I'm going to tell you my Nirvana story. It's a doozy. It's my second channel, daily vlog channel. It's the Daily Woo! My dad used to be the minister inside that church building, and we lived in this house on the back of the property. And I'm going to take you back in time now to November 28th, 1993. It was early in the morning where right in that exact spot I loaded into my Ford 1984 LTD and the day began. The event I was going to was just a little over 50 miles from this spot, but it took me all day to get there. Because on this day, years before the internet and years before cell phones, I had 2 tickets to see Nirvana. And I had no one to go with me, nor did I even know how to get to the concert. And while in this day and age, it would seem simple to find a concert buddy to go with, either by posting on social media or sending out texts to your friends, it was not so simple then. In fact, I drove around to countless houses of friends, acquaintances, pretty much anyone I thought that might have an interest in going with me. All in all, I stopped by about 7 or 8 different places asking people to go with me. The 2 biggest responses I got were, it's too far, and I will just see them next time they come to town. And to understand why I had an extra ticket, we have to go up to Kissimmee. There used to be a music store up here that sold CDs and cassette tapes, and they also had a Ticketmaster kiosk in the store. And it was located right over here in this corner spot where this clothing store is now. About once a week, I would walk in these doors, walk over to that far left wall, and check out who was coming to town. Right next to where the cash register was a little computer screen. And this is way before you could search the World Wide Web. You would stand in there and you would ask, what bands are coming to town? And that's how I'd buy my tickets. And I'd always buy an extra ticket just in case someone wanted to come along with me. And that is what happened in this situation. And while I'm in the area, I'll show you where the other music store in town was, where I bought my first Nirvana CD. By the way, that used to be a Hooters, and now it's not. Right here on the back side of this mall sits an old movie theater, which is now some sort of school, but in this door used to be a record shop. And I use that term loosely because they mostly sold cassette tapes, but that was around the time at the threshold of the, whoa, this door, P-U-L-L. Push. That was the time, the threshold when CDs were becoming very popular. And right inside here, where is now a salon, is where I first picked up the band Nirvana's album. I spent many a dime in that place buying different bands. You'll never forget the first time you heard that album, will you? Panther. Pink Panther. I think I might have just broken a rule right there. I should leave. I'm so ashamed. So ashamed. I guess I should probably give a disclaimer now. I'm not trying to say Nirvana is the greatest band ever. I'm not trying to say I justify what each member's personal life is all about. All I'm saying is being into that band in the early 90s was an experience that changed my life.
Remember that song, Smells Like Bat Boy?
Don't listen to him. I'm thinking maybe it's time to refresh my CD collection. Countless times I have purchased pretty much every Nirvana album. Bleach, Nevermind, Incesticide, In Utero, and the live MTV acoustic. I've never bought this album. It has all the usuals, but it also has a song that was released after Kurt passed away called You Know You're Right. I love that song. We're now en route to Lakeland, Florida. I eventually coerced my friend Sean into going with me. I begged, I pleaded, I twisted his arm in every possible way, and everything was going pretty well up until the time he said he knew a shortcut. And this shortcut did not bode well with our heroes. Let me tell you, this ended up almost costing me the entire evening. Of course, in these days, you would just look up on like Google Maps or on your smartphone which direction to go. And back then, I wasn't coherent enough to buy a map. So I guess it's kind of my own fault that we got lost.
If we would have stayed on I-4, another 30 miles just to the left of this road would have been our destination. However, we decided to jump on Highway 27 and go that way.
And this is the pivotal moment where everything went awry.
Now you can get to Lakeland that way if you go a few miles, hang a right, and eventually you will take back roads until you arrive in town.
My friend kept saying, I think the turn's coming up soon. I think the turn's coming up soon. This went on for over an hour. I finally did the thing every man does not want to do. I stopped at the side of the road, went in a convenience store, and I asked directions.
Abraham Lincoln always asks for directions.
I know. And the bad news was I was so far away, I didn't think I was going to make it to the concert on time. So I made a rash decision. I pushed my car, which had never left town before, to the utter limits, trying to get to the concert on time. The car I had at that time was not the best, to say the least. In fact, if you did not put water in the radiator on a regular basis, it would overheat. And when my check engine light came on, I avoided it like the plague, because I had somewhere to be. I did not have the time to pull over, wait around for an hour for the engine to cool down, and put water in the radiator. Man, I was smart back then, wasn't I? On a side note, these are always interesting to drive past. Quite the conversation piece. And because I avoided the warning signs and did not heed the vehicle overheating every time I mashed on the gas, the car would not go any faster. It was going 65, I was accelerating, there was a grinding noise, then the fastest it would go would be 55, then the fastest was 45, 35, 25. The entire front of the vehicle engulfed in smoke, coming out festooning into the sky. And just like that, my car was completely dead.
Sitting off the side of a busy road, billowing with smoke to the heavens.
And even though the car was done for, the fact that this smoke signal, if you will, was in the air helped me out, because a police officer, a very kind man, pulled in behind me thinking that my car was on fire. Long story short, I left my car on the side of the road, not knowing where I was, hopped in the back of the officer's vehicle, and he drove us 20 or so miles to the Lakeland Civic Center to see Nirvana. They have hence dropped the word civic from their title, and now it's just called the Lakeland Center. But this is it. Pulled right up here in the police car to a throng of fans waiting to see the concert, giving us very awkward looks on why a cop was dropping us off. It's a pretty good sized building. Of course, they were hitting the peak of their fame around this time, so the crowd was pretty massive. You could almost say they took the world by storm. A few key things about the concert I remember: it was so many people up front that I couldn't even breathe. It was like compressing me against the front of the wall. If you've ever been to either punk rock or heavy metal or any kind of rock show that's a little bit more aggressive, you are familiar with slam dancing or what they call mosh pits. When they played Smells Like Teen Spirit, I thought I was gonna die. The other major concern I had is, how was I supposed to get home? As luck would have it, by some miracle in the crowd, I saw a friend of a friend of a friend down on the floor, and I asked him if he could give me a ride home, yelling in his ear between songs. And afterwards, he gave my friend and I a ride back to St. Cloud. Now, there is a political rally going on here today. I could not get inside because it is ending and the police would not let me in. And I'm not even going to attempt to fly the drone because I do not need Secret Service shooting it from the sky. At first I was pretty excited because the doors were open and I could get inside and maybe get a shot of the stage where they played. Didn't work out, but nonetheless, pretty cool to be here again after all these years. Check out the sun setting over there. It's pretty majestic. Just over the horizon. And I did manage to get my car back into town. A guy my dad knew owned a car repair shop and he had a tow truck. And he drove out the next day with me to get it. And he fixed it. And I'm eternally grateful for that, for sure. A bad experience, a lot of bad experiences in one day that ended up being pretty awesome. Life's weird like that, and now I have a story to tell. Thanks for listening. Vlog over.